There are times in life when you just want to relax, to put your feet up, maybe visit a spa or catch up on a bit of reading.
Doesn't get much more Swiss than that, bro.
Usually, those are the times when I get a call from my friend Johnny. Part eagle, part mountain goat, with a dash of Red Bull athlete. Johnny doesn't have the word relaxation in his vocabulary. I've seen him almost die about 7 to 9 times. Climb mountain passes with him, armed with only a packet of soup, and had him push me beyond my limits nearly every time I see him. When I finally bought my tickets to Europe, I called Johnny. As per usual, I didn't hear anything back from him for weeks. I called him again and again. Still no answer. But I wasn't worried. This is pretty classic Johnny. When I finally managed to get through to him, the reception his end was terrible. He was breathing hard and wind kept blasting through the phone speaker. Sounds like you're up a mountain, Johnny, I told him. Yeah, he said. I'm cycling from Switzerland to Croatia. Now this isn't your plain bike ride, complete with cute little cafe breaks and nights in a 4-star lodge. This is Johnny, battling through some of Europe's highest road peaks from 3 or 4 a.m. until 10 at night, eating only bananas and passing out on the side of the road without even bothering to set up a tent because he's so exhausted.
Oh no. The bike was like an urban bike, so it wasn't not even like a proper bike. And like
his bike was closer to Mary Poppins than the Tour de France, and he's such a mad lad, he didn't even bother with a spare tyre tube. This is the Johnny that gave me a call one day in Europe and told me he had a plan to bike from Switzerland's Austrian border to Switzerland's French border. 6 days, thousands of kilometers of elevation gain and loss, riding the Mary Poppins bike and the sort of bike I graduated from when I was 13. Oh, and no spare tubes. I didn't even have to think about it for a second.
Together, brother.
Boys
How many Ks is this race, mate?
So this is about 485 kilometres.
485. Yeah. Jeez, I thought it was 4.85. What have I signed up for?
Mate, this is the start, man. We've got 9,000 metres of elevation.
Oh,
so,
shoot.
Yeah.
I think the climax of our trip was through Canton Uri, a valley high up in the mountains where William Tell was said to live. Tell is the guy who shot an apple off his son's head, escaped and then killed the local sheriff and sparked a rebellion that led to the creation of the old Swiss Confederacy.
Look at that. Just look at that. There's Johnny. This is one of the few moments you'll see him behind me. He took a break. Usually I'm like way down by that lake somewhere, pushing.
Wow, how nice is that? Man.
I could see why the authorities had trouble apprehending this William Tell fella. The terrain was steep with a capital S, and as we climbed and climbed, the air got colder and colder around us. We ditched most of our warm clothes in an effort to save weight, and so as I first biked, then pushed, then crawled my bike up this giant mountain that never seemed to end, I got colder and colder and colder. I had no energy. My cramp was so bad that it got cramp, and as I considered putting an apple on my head and having some Swiss farmer put me out of my misery, I saw a figure looming in the distant rain. Above me on the crest of the mountaintop stood the ghost of William Tell, a red Swiss nose peeking out from a coat of deerskin and wool as he stooped to notch an arrow into his crossbow. Dazed, I stumbled towards him, mouth agape. Somewhere in the back of my mind I knew I was hallucinating, but the rest of my brain was too frozen to listen. As I wheeled my bike towards him, William Tell gradually transformed into a figure I now consider to be even more legendary. It was Johnny, waiting out in the freezing cold rain for me, limbs dead and shaking, lips gone violet blue. If he'd wanted to, he could have kept cycling. He could have kept warm. Instead, he'd stayed on this mountaintop as a gale tried to blow him off and icy rain soaked through to his bones. When I reached him, he prized his frozen lips apart and uttered 5 words that made me love him even more. Yeah, you want a hot chocolate? Back home in New Zealand, there would have been nothing but scrub and deer droppings on this lone mountain top. But this was Switzerland. I peered through the rain to the cafe standing next to us, warm lights like beacons out into the mountain. As the rain beat against the windows, we blew our budget with a hot soup. It took a long time to work up the courage to leave that little oasis of warmth. So often in life, our lowest lows lead to our highest highs. As we got outside and pulled on frozen stiff jackets, shivers racked my body and my hands could barely grip the handlebars. But the sky began to clear around us, opening out to a vista unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Speeding through the Swiss S-bends, mountaintops, waterfalls, streams and tiny farm hamlets opened out before us, beauty intertwined with adrenaline. One wrong move could send us careening down the cliffs, but we were relaxed and laughing and cheering. In our flow state, nothing could go wrong.
In front. Pulling away. He sounds like a car from New
That
Zealand.
final hill seemed to last forever. We passed farms, an army base, forests, vineyards and towns. Lake Geneva spread out before us like a finish line. Life was
Of course,
good.
his brakes aren't what they used to be. Slowly degrading over the course of the week. But he won't let that stop him. In fact, he won't let his brakes stop him at all because they don't really work. Here we've got a tunnel. Whoa. This is a gnarly one.
The worst part of any mission is when you have to say goodbye to the person you've been travelling with. You've seen so much blood and sweat and highs and lows together. You feel closer than you ever have before, and it's hard to let that go. Fortunately for me, Johnny had some extra time on his hands. I suggested Scandinavia, and he was keen.